Hey guys, and welcome back to GCC. I'm Damon. I'm finally back. Probably look a little bit trimmer than I did before. I just got back from the East Coast. I went to the Outer Banks in North Carolina with some friends and family. We were out there for a while, and we went to Connecticut, and then we went to New York. Drove through Jersey and Delaware and Maryland and everything. I feel like I saw like half the East Coast in like 3 weeks. It was pretty crazy, but it was a lot of fun. But I'm finally back. I'm ready to pump out some more videos. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I've done one other book review in the past, and I'd like to do one again today. Last time I checked out the Five Nights at Freddy's trilogy. I did all three books in one video because they were pretty short, but fun books. So this time I want to take a look at the first book of the Ancestor book. That's confusing to say. Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This book was so satisfying on so many levels, and it was just a blast to read. This was one of those books that I picked up, cracked open the cover, sat down on the couch with a big mug of coffee, and kind of didn't leave until I either had to use the bathroom or had to sleep. And the following day, picked it back up again, finished it, and was kind of just like blown away. And I was like, man, that was a damn good book. So today I just wanted to kind of talk about it, give the things that I liked, the things I didn't like, and just talk about it. Because apparently I like to talk. So this is my first ever Mark Lawrence book. I know he's like a highly renowned author and stuff, but I've never really gotten into him until now. So this is my first step into his world and his universe. I've finished pretty much every book in the Cosmere, which is like Brandon Sanderson's universe. So now that I feel completely devoid of hope and stuff because I have nothing left of his to read, I figured I'd branch out into other authors, and Mark Lawrence is awesome. He's really helpful and positive on the R Fantasy subreddit. He makes like a strong presence there and recommends other self-published authors and stuff so that he can try and get some great names into people's eyes and stuff. So I figured I'd check out one of his books. So first, I'll start with some of the things that I really, really liked about Red Sister. First and foremost, I loved the school setting. It made me think a lot of Harry Potter and that type of genre where the main characters are in a school setting and they have to learn and they have to do everyday mundane kind of tasks, which sounds silly because I have to do everyday mundane tasks. Why would I want to read about somebody else doing it? But when it's fantasy related, it's a lot more fun. Now the school setting was a little bit different than Harry Potter. Each book isn't like a corresponding year like in the Harry Potter series. So the first book covers the first 2 years. I think 2 years. I think the first 2 years are covered in Red Sister, which was fun because it kind of cuts out a lot of the BS kind of useless stuff, So that was kind of nice. I also really enjoyed how many strong female characters there were in this book. A lot of modern fantasy has, at least one strong female lead. But this book, pretty much everyone is female, which at first was kind of was striking. It was almost like, wow, this is crazy because everyone here is female. All the students are female. All the sisters who lead the Sweet Mercy Convent are female. The head of the convent is obviously female. There are obviously men. I think two of the main villains are both male, which is fine. But it never felt forced on my throat, and it never felt weird. It was something that I noticed at first, and then it kind of just felt supernatural after that, and then it was a lot of fun. And you see kind of every type of female in this book. There's the bookish nerds. There's the rich fancy snobs who maybe are not snobs. There's the people that you think are your friends and turn out to not be your friends. They're stabbing in the back. There's just there's people there that from all walks of life, which was really fun. not everyone fits the same type of mold, and that was really satisfying. I like that variety in characters. So the main character, the one that we follow along, is Nona Gray, and she was fun? Question mark. I still don't exactly know how I feel about Nona. She reminds me a lot of Vin from the Mistborn series from Brandon Sanderson. If you ever read those, they have a lot in common. They're both very skeptical of others, especially when those people are trying to help them. They can't see past the things that have been done wrong to them, which kind of makes them pessimists in many ways. But even in just this first book, we do see quite a bit of character development in Nona. She at first feels like she can never make friends because she doesn't understand people. And fun fact, she makes friends and still doesn't understand people. And I kind of feel the same way, to be honest with you. But she's kind of like a dog that's been kicked one too many times. Not that you should ever kick a dog. Let's get that straight. You shouldn't kick dogs. But she's just been hurt too many times to trust anymore, and that's kind of a cliche, I guess, and that's kind of where my question mark comes from when I said that she was a fun character. Is she is in many ways a cliche, but it's not done poorly, which makes it fine. I don't mind cliches as long as they're not like I don't know, the super obvious like farm boy who turns out to be like the future king, like the long lost son of a king that was killed and we gotta restore the family line, and like that kind of thing gets me. Pawn of Prophecy was great when I first read it. When I read books like that now, So moving on, one other thing that I really enjoyed was the fight sequences. They didn't really feel like the ultra like action style movie scene type of thing where every move is like explained and choreographed and like everything feels like it's running in slow-mo as it's being like described to you. It didn't feel like that, because that kind of irks me. Sometimes that just feels too much. But in Red Sister, it was kind of just done right. Like the fight sequences were obviously very descriptive and elaborate, but it wasn't just over the top with its craziness, which was nice. Obviously the characters, the sisters in the convent and the novices there as well, they have these powers, or many do. They have powers based on their heritage and like what tribe they are ancestors of. So there is a lot of like the fantastical fighting, but it's not like the over the top like crazy action movie type fighting, which was really nice. As for the things that I didn't like too much about the book, first and foremost, it's got to be Nona's friends, or at least a couple of them. It's bad. I actually had to look them up. In the start of the book, they have a list of like all the characters and terminology and stuff like that. Two of them were so forgettable that I had to look them up. Jula, oh my god. And Ruli. Jula and Ruli, man, I had to look at that like 3 times. I don't know why. So forgettable that I forgot them 3 times after I just looked at their names. Those characters were introduced and at first had like fairly prominent roles and scenes with Nona, and then as the book kind of went on, they cut at 6:00. They became just less important, I guess. They were definitely like secondary characters, it felt like. Clara and Era and Saida or Saida, I don't know how to say it. They were good characters that were very prominently featured in this book, but oh my gosh, Jula and Ruli, I think they just kind of fell off, and that was a little bit frustrating. They actually showed up towards the end of the book. That's not really a spoiler, I guess. And I actually had to like look them up again to see who they were or like what they were like known for, because I'd forgotten already. And I read this book in 2 days, so I mean, I don't know. That was a little bit frustrating. One other thing that was a little bit unsettling was how Nona was so like independent and, you know, scared of asking others for help or even just being around other people sometimes, that it was just kind of annoying at moments. Like, she'd be struggling to do something and a friend would be like, together we can do this easily. And she'd be like, no, I need to do this by myself. And it's like, all right, but I mean, don't be dumb. Like, like when it comes down to it, like she was, it felt like she was written specifically to be angsty sometimes, even after we're like halfway through the book. She's made development, she's opening up to people, and then all of a sudden she's back like she was at the first chapter, like a little like wounded puppy, and is like licking her wounds. And I'm like, but you were doing so good. You're doing so good. Why'd you like go back to the way you were? You were doing better. So that was a little bit frustrating. But besides that, I don't really know what else to say about what I didn't like about the book. The pacing was awesome. The pacing was great. It's one of those books that has a little bit of like a build up. It wasn't too bad, and then it just takes off and it stayed, you know, at that altitude the entire time, and it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of small twists already in just the first book, like that you assume things, then those things get turned on their head later on with, you know, characters and the roles of the characters. There's a lot that is established and then already like deconstructed in just this book. So I'm really excited to see all what happens with the second and third book. My favorite character by far has to be the one and only Abbess Glass. She is just a wrecking ball, and watching her like come into her scenes and just, you know, take charge was just so much fun to read. So she was by far my favorite character. My least favorite character had to be Clara. While she was well written, and I assume that she was written to be upsetting at times, this isn't going to be a fair comparison, but I feel kind of like Joffrey, where like they're written to be so bad that it's good writing, but it still like pissed me off. You know what I mean? So she's not evil like that. She's not like the worst person that could possibly exist, but she's still very frustrating in a way that was intended, you know? So if you haven't picked up Red Sister yet, I highly recommend it. If you enjoy strong female leads, this is like perfect for you. If you enjoy like the schools of magic, like Harry Potter and the like, and you're looking for something a little bit more serious, like dark, I don't know. Harry Potter definitely is serious and dark. I don't know. Let me go on a little side tangent rant here. I think a lot of people oversimplify what Harry Potter is, and they because it's labeled like young adult, they kind of write it off as like for kids. But the later books definitely get pretty dark, and just saying. So if you liked the last few Harry Potter books, you'll like Red Sister. If you enjoy a fantastic cover art, you'll like Red Sister. I don't know. It was a good book. You should get it. Amazon, it's cheap. It's really cheap. It's only like $10 or $12 or something like that. It's cheap. Strike that. It's right now it's $7.50. So absolutely worth that price. Oh my gosh. I'm excited to kind of dive into Mark Lawrence's other works and see what he's got to offer. So if you like this book review, make sure you hit subscribe and hit like, and you know, put a comment down below with what books you think I should take a look at next. I've been reading like a fiend lately, you know, several books a week. So I'll probably burn through Grey Sister and put up another video on that one shortly. So thanks for watching, everyone.